بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Assalamu alaikum. The Lahore Ahmadiyya community welcomes you to its broadcasts. This is the series Reflections on the Holy Quran, and on Thursday, the 27th of May 2021, this is broadcast number 212. In these days, we are discussing verse 86 of chapter 2, and this is the third broadcast in which we are discussing this. Just to remind you that the Lahore Ahmadiyya community was established by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib of Qadian. And his teaching was that although people say that after the Holy Prophet Muhammad another prophet will come, the Holy Quran has called the Holy Prophet seal of the prophets, and the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained that by saying that it means there is no prophet after me, old one or new one. End of story. In the same way, he explained that reform of Muslims is still needed. And the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had said that mujaddideen or reformers will come, and they will correct the errors into which Muslims have fallen. And he was one of those. And his distinction was that the Holy Prophet Muhammad had used the titles Messiah and Mahdi for him. He taught that people are very keen to call each other heretic and kafir and out of fold of Islam. But the Holy Prophet had said that if one Muslim says to another, you are a kafir, you are not a Muslim, then it is the person saying who is not a Muslim. This is very important to remember. People say that Ayah Rajam and Surah Walayat have been missed out from the compilation of the Holy Quran. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib taught that all the prophetic revelation that the Holy Prophet received is in the Holy Quran. There is nothing missing from it. Some people say that some verses of which are in the Holy Quran have been abrogated. And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad said this is totally wrong. Even Hazrat Shah Waliullah said that people say 512 verses of the Holy Quran are cancelled, are abrogated. But he said, I've conducted research and I've reduced that number to 7. But the Lahori Ahmadis are taught that not a single verse of the Holy Quran was ever abrogated. or shall ever be abrogated. The Quran is complete and consistent, and God has promised that He will look after it. He will guard it. And people say that jihad means that you take the sword and you put it on a non-Muslim's neck, and unless he recites the kalima, you cut his head off. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib Rahmatullah Alayh pointed to a hadith of the Holy Prophet, where the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when returning from a battle, said that from the minor jihad, jihad-e-asghar, we return to the major jihad, jihad-e-akbar, and then explain that jihad-e-akbar is a fight with our own selves, with our own desires, selfishness, jealousy, envy, greed, and 1,000 others. That is a much greater jihad than simply fighting in the way of Allah. This was all taught to us by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Rahmatullah Alayh of Qadian, who instructed us to create a community which espouses these values and takes them to all corners of the world to establish the truth of Islam and the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So today we are looking, as I said, at Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 86, and this is part 3 of that. So let me get my copy of the English translation of the Holy Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أولئك الذين اشتروا الحياة الدنيا بالآخرة فلا يخفف عنهم العذاب ولا هم ينصرون. These are they who buy life of this world for the hereafter. So their punishment shall not be lightened, nor shall they be helped. I was hoping to deal with 2 words of this verse today, but during the Urdu broadcast, I only managed to deal with 1. It's actually a combination, bil akhirah, and it's a preposition and a noun. Noun obviously being akhir, the hereafter. So if we have a look at this, I can find my notes. They always get messed up during the Urdu broadcast that I do. There we are. So this word has the triliteral root Hamza Ha Ra. My throat is also getting dry, so let me put a lozenge in my mouth. Okay. And it occurs in total 250 times in the Holy Quran, this root, but in 6 different forms or shapes or meanings based on these 3 letters. 155 times as Akhir, 70 times as Akhar, 15 times as Akhara, and then in other forms 2 or 3 times. In fact, Mustakhirin, in that form, it only occurs once. So it can mean to postpone, like in chapter 4, verse 77, Akhartana ila ajalin qareeb. Please postpone it for us. But this is in the sense of delay. Chapter 11, verse 8. Wala in akharna, we delay. Now there's a related meaning with delay, as in chapter 14, verse 10. Vayu akharakum. We give you a chance, give you respite. So that's one meaning. But it can also mean to follow or stay behind. Yeah, delay as well in this form. Ta'akhara fala ithma. In chapter 2, verse 230, 203, delays. But the same word, Vama ta'akhara vayu timmaniya mata. This means following. And then chapter 74, verse 37, Aw yata akhara, that means staying behind. The word yastakhirun also bears similar meanings: seek to delay, remain behind, and so on. But the most recognized form is, of course, akhirah. وَمَا أَنزِلَ مِن قَبْلِكَ وَبِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ. Hereafter, and in the hereafter. Chapter 2, verse 4, right at the beginning. مَا لَهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ خَلَاقٍ. Chapter 2, verse 102. فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ خَلَاقٍ. Chapter 2, verse 200. Hereafter. And the prayer, lots of us say at the end of our prayers, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina azaban nar. Hereafter. It's from Al-Baqarah, verse 201. Wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina azaban. So it's all mostly, and those who speak Urdu and so on, this is word is familiar. It also means later generations, coming generations. Fil akhirin, later generations, as in chapter 26. And so on. So it also means last, bil yawmil akhiri, the last day. Man amana billahi wal yawmil akhiri, chapter 2, verse 62. The last day. So it also means the other, the last and also the other. And also as an adjective, ayami, akhara, ukhara. The other or another. Akharin. Akharina. The other or another. So, let me turn my notes over. There we are. So, this is the opposite of awwal. Why? Because awwal means first. Akhir means the end. And if we have wahidun, then akharu, and that's the opposite. And sometimes the word house or place is attached to it. Ad-darul akhirah, the place, the house in the hereafter. But sometimes dar is not used. It's sort of understood that it means that. This verse of the Holy Quran, chapter 69, verse 64, wa inna daral akhirata lahiyal hayawan, and everlasting life is, its house is the hereafter. But then we have, where do we have? Here we are. Chapter 11, verse 16. Ula'ika allazina laysa lahum fil akhirati illan nar. The people for whom there is nothing apart from the fire of hell. Well, hell in the hereafter. Fil akhirati, in the hereafter, illan nar, there is nothing except fire. So the word dar is not used here. And then we have at-takhir, which we looked at, that is to leave behind. Bima qaddama wa akhara, chapter 75, verse 13. And the deeds that they sent forward and those that they left behind. Ma taqaddama min dhambika wa ma ta'akhar, chapter 48, verse 2. All your sins, those that have gone ahead, that is those sins that you've already committed, and those that you're leaving behind, for those that you've done and those that you haven't done, all of them. And right. As I was saying, he said, desperately looking for the right place in his notes. We're almost there. What's happening? Oh, here we are. Okay. So, but the important thing to remember is that this word applies to something that is coming after something else. But what is coming is going to be radically different from what has gone before. Completely, totally, radically different. You see, in this life, we have connections. You connect things. Those of you who buy rods to clean your windows upstairs, you take one rod and then you screw in another one, gets longer, then you screw in another one, it gets longer, and you get to the top, and so on. These are connected things, the same things. But what happens in Akhir is that it'll be something that is totally different and totally new, and that can't be conceived. It'll be revolutionary. And the example that I always try and give in this is that you have a fetus in the womb, and that develops. But that is one type and one kind of life. Within the womb, there is continuity. Okay? But then the child is born. And the life it's born into is radically and totally and completely different. It cannot be imagined. And I suggest that the same thing is going to happen is when we, as they say, die. We move on to another stage of life. Just like the fetus doesn't know what awaits it, we don't know what awaits us. But as I said, Akhir means that when a child is born, that is Akhir. Akhir. What it's going to is totally, radically, revolutionarily different from where it was. You didn't have to bother with anything. It was safe. But now it's got to watch out for cats and dogs and cars and bicycles and God knows what else falling down the stairs. Previously, it just sat there and got fed through a tube into its stomach. Mum's blood just got circulated around its body. But now it gets hungry and it has to eat. But you see, just like there's development that, there's fertilization of the egg, and then there's a clot, and then you have bones and skin and whatever else. That evolution, that development continues. Because when born, the baby can only drink milk. And then it moves on to solid foods. Can't hold anything, then it's able to hold things. It can't stand up, then it can stand up. Can't walk, then it can walk. Now, if you look at it, it's like a chain. The baby was in the womb. The last chain was, the last rung of the chain was when it was born. And the chain finished it. But it happened suddenly. Now, when we die, or as I prefer to call it, when we are born into the next life, the same thing happens. It's a totally, completely different situation. But in this, we also got to remember that when we're talking about the next life, when we're talking about the fetus being born, unless the mother plans for the fetus to be born in a healthy state. In the West, women give up smoking and drinking and so on because they don't want the fetus to be impacted by this. It's the same thing when we move on to the next life. But the thing is this, we have to believe in the next life. We have to believe in the future. We have to plan. If you believe in the future, then that means you plan for it. You get married, you're living in one room with your parents, or you rented one room somewhere, or you a flat or whatever. You are certain of your future. So you plan your future. You save money to buy a flat or a house or whatever. Because you have faith. It's the same with Akhirah, with the hereafter. This is why the Quran says that they believe in it. Believe means that they plan for it. As individuals, as families, as nations. But generally we've seen that we may plan as individuals or perhaps families, but certainly as a nation, as an ummah, we don't plan for anything. We have to plan keeping the future of the whole humanity in mind. If in my lifetime I pollute all the rivers and the percentage of carbon dioxide in the air becomes 60%, what am I leaving my future generations, my own kids, the rest of humanity, the ummah? What am I leaving them to breathe? What water am I leaving them to drink and use to wash and so on? It's all polluted. So this is why when God says that they believe in the hereafter, what it means is don't just look at the present. Look at what is to come in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years, in the next life. But not just for yourself, as I said, but also for others. Everyone else, the whole of humanity. And the important thing is that this will only happen. This will only happen if you truly believe in the hereafter. If you believe we are born and we grow old, we grow up, we get a job, we amass as much money as we can, and that's the end of the story, well then fine, okay. But if you actually believe in the hereafter, then you'll plan for it. And a part of the plan would be, what am I leaving behind? The verse of the Holy Quran that I recited for you, which said, what has gone on and what is left behind. Does it mean what I've left behind is going to kill the coming generations? Or is it going to allow them to survive and prosper as well? Believing in the hereafter means that you plan for the future, your children's future, your ummah's future, and the future of the whole humanity. Without that, all you're doing is just paying lip service to saying, oh yeah, I believe in that. Yes. God is not interested in that kind of belief, because it's immaterial to him. This is of benefit to you, not to anyone else. With that, we come to the end of today's broadcast, Reflections on the Holy Quran. I just want to remind our friends that we don't have these broadcasts on Friday, when we have the Friday service at 1 p.m. UK time, or Saturday, or Sunday. But on Sunday at 2 p.m., we have Call of the Messiah in Urdu, and at 2:30 p.m. we have Call of the Messiah in English. So until we meet again, I leave you with the prayer that whoever you are and wherever you may be, may Allah keep the whole humanity safe and sound and protect them from all kinds of harm and difficulty. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, goodbye.